This view looks along Pennsylvania Avenue, the main civic thoroughfare of early Washington. At this stage, the city was still forming, with wide streets laid out according to L'Enfant's plan, designed to give the capital an air of order and ambition. The cluster of buildings in view represents the first government offices, while modest homes and scattered trees surround the area. Life here was quiet, almost pastoral, with the future seat of power only beginning to take shape. Even at this point, you can sense the city's potential to grow into a center of national influence. A southeastern engraving shows Washington looking toward the Potomac River around 1790. At the time, the Riverfront was a hub of early trade, small docks, and scattered warehouses. The city's layout, with long straight avenues and open public spaces, reflects a vision of balance between civic order and natural landscape. The Potomac carried boats slowly upriver, hinting at trade and travel that would eventually connect the capital to other growing cities. The streets and riverbanks were largely empty, yet already lined with the first markers of governance, commerce, and urban structure. The early executive office building, sketched in the late 1700s, appears monumental in scale despite the city's small size. Its classical style, tall windows, and ornamental detailing reflect an ambition to impress both residents and visitors. Though only partially built at the time, it set the tone for future federal architecture, signaling that Washington was a capital meant to be remembered. One of the most dramatic early events in the city's history came in 1808, when foreign forces briefly threatened the fledgling capital. Engravings and paintings from the period show the city's sparse streets, modest homes, and small government buildings, emphasizing how vulnerable and undeveloped the city still was. Despite its unfinished state, people moved with purpose, aware that the city's growth and survival depended on both ambition and resilience. A view from across the Anacostia River in 1825 shows Washington still surrounded by open fields and gentle hills. The White House is slightly oversized in perspective, a symbol of emerging national authority. Small clusters of residences, the Navy Yard, and early federal buildings stretch along the river. Ships and barges float quietly, reflecting an early phase of commerce and transportation. The city appears young and measured, a capital in the process of asserting its presence among older, more established cities along the East Coast. During the Civil War in the 1860s, Camp Fry offers a glimpse of Washington's military importance. Rows of orderly barracks, neatly lined parade grounds, and disciplined formations of soldiers transformed parts of the city into a temporary military town. Despite the tension of wartime, these images show the city functioning with a surprising sense of calm and organization. Civilian and military life intertwined as Washington balanced governance, defense, and everyday activity. By 1875, Washington was beginning to take on the recognizable shape we know today. A bird's-eye view from the period shows the Washington Monument standing tall at the center of the city, surrounded by broad, landscaped avenues, curved paths, and man-made water features. Dense clusters of government buildings stretch across the horizon, while planned streets and squares give the impression of intentional urban design. The scattered and rural character of earlier decades was giving way to a cohesive capital with a sense of purpose and pride. The Brown's Indian Queen Hotel, sketched in the late 1700s, reflects daily life in a city still more town than capital. Framed by trees and modest foot traffic, the building served as a hub for travelers, politicians, and residents alike. Carriages stopped at the entrance, and people moved about with ease. This image captures the role of small civic centers that supported daily life in a city, still finding its identity. In 1840, the unfinished dome of the Capitol loomed over the city, signaling ongoing development. Scaffolding surrounded the half-built structure, a visual reminder that the nation and its capital were still under construction. Trees were sparse, streets mostly dirt, and Washington retained a semi-rural character in many districts. The sense of anticipation was palpable, as citizens and lawmakers alike adjusted to a growing political and urban center. The White House in 1846 remained largely residential in character. Surrounded by open lawns and bare trees, the building was a quiet, almost pastoral retreat for the president, rather than a bustling seat of political power. The simple winter light falling on the grounds emphasizes the young nation's modesty, and the calm scene contrasts sharply with the bustling Capitol we know today. Ford's Theater, shown in mourning after the tragic assassination of President Lincoln in 1865, reflects how deeply the city was affected by national events. The scene is quiet, with small groups of people lingering near the entrance, suggesting the city's attempt to maintain order and stability amidst shock. Washington was still a city in transition, where even ordinary streets and buildings were shaped by national drama and civic importance. Other mid-19th century photographs depict Washington as a city under construction. Dirt roads, wooden buildings, and modest churches appear alongside the rising Capitol dome, signaling a blend of provisional settlement and grand planning. The city was expanding rapidly, balancing immediate needs with long-term visions. Streets were gradually filled with residential and commercial activity, while public spaces were carefully designed to reflect both authority and aesthetic ambition. These historical views remind us that Washington, D.C. did not emerge fully formed. From empty fields and modest streets to the partially constructed Capitol and White House, every phase of growth reflects the city's evolving identity. Politics, war, and urban planning shaped each block, each avenue, and each public building. The early years were a time of experimentation, patience, and careful design, laying the foundations for the Capitol's future as a symbol of governance and national ambition. Looking back at these reconstructions, it is clear that Washington grew piece by piece, shaped by visionaries, workers, and ordinary citizens who contributed to its transformation. Each engraving, photograph, and painting offers insight into the city's slow but deliberate formation. What began as a bold idea on empty land became a fully realized capital, a testament to planning, resilience, and the ongoing work of building a city that could represent a nation. Thanks for watching. These early images of Washington, D.C. show us the city's journey from idea to reality. From scattered buildings and empty fields to monumental avenues and government complexes, the story of the Capitol reminds us how carefully and deliberately cities can grow, one step at a time.